Yeah, Holly, thank you so much for agreeing to spend the time to meet with us. We are very, very happy to have some time with you today. As you probably know, we want to talk to you not about 10.1, but about your experiences in the gaming industry, and particularly your experiences in the gaming industry as a woman. Girls Gone WoW, as you might imagine, has a specialist interest in the female gaming experience. So I wonder if you could start by telling us why you decided to enter the gaming industry in the first place, and what has your journey looked like so far?
Yeah, so early on, I was a very dedicated EverQuest player, and I was part of a guild, and I was an officer in that guild, and I was, much like most of us, even now and in the early days, I was completely consumed by it. And I was more, I loved the game itself, but I was more fascinated about how hundreds of people organize and the social structure. And at that time, dragon kill points evolved during that era. And how do you distribute like a few pieces of loot to this, at that time we raid with 70 people. And so I was so fascinated by that. And then, someone in my guild revealed they were on the development team for EverQuest. And they're like, and at the time, my background was in journalism. And because I needed to eat, I ended up in internal communications, and I was doing scripting and building internal communication networks. So we thought, well, I know you can do scripting, and we're looking for someone who can write well. So how about you come in? And I obviously was an expert in that game, just as a player. And I couldn't have been, it was a magical experience, because game design wasn't really an established profession. It was just, we were geeks doing geek things with some technical capacity. And at least, our imagination, and at least my point of view of human psychology and how we can support these emergent communities who support each other. And that grew over time, right? So I was playing WoW while I was working on those other games. And to me, it was like a resurgence and a growth in what it means to be part of an MMO, and experiencing strangers playing their characters who just intuitively help each other. And then getting into the nuts and bolts of how that comes together. So there's building the game itself. And then the other joy in my life is working with these incredibly talented people who they live and breathe making games, no matter if it's engineering, if it's art, if it's design. And it's really, it's made my life a joy and a blessing to be able to support them every day. And make incredible products every day. And again, it's seeing more women come into the industry and see how that impacts the game design and the content we make. I feel like I've had a pretty blessed existence to be able to do this. But it just comes from a love of people and the interaction of people. And I'm a fantasy nerd, so I'm in a good place.
Awesome. And how has your career progressed over the time you've been with Blizzard so far?
Oh God. So I came in, I started on Classic shortly after launch. So I think right before the first patch went out. Coming from, I was the head of the studio for the EverQuest franchise. Coming into WoW was a whole other ball of wax. Just in scope and scale, Classic was so successful. And we had a relatively, by Blizzard standards, small team supporting it. And just being able to work with that team. And again, it's all about the community, seeing the community's reaction. And how engaged they were, and learning. I'm also a data nerd, so learning about our players, and that Classic players are completely unique from modern players. There's not a lot of crossover. And they are a community with its own culture, which is fascinating to me. So I ended up, I started as a principal producer, and then became a lead. And then, we got Burning Crusade out the door. We got that done a bit earlier than we expected, which yay.
Wow.
And in fact, with our work on Wrath of the Lich King, we actually were able to deliver that earlier than we had originally expected as well.
Nice.
Because the community, everything we'd seen was the community wanted it. And so we doubled down on our efforts to deliver that. And then the executive producer job came open, and I thought, why not? I'll apply for that. I feel like in many ways I know what I'm doing, and I think I know how to support and energize the team. I certainly feel like I have expertise in the MMO space over time, and I'm endlessly fascinated. I'm also I describe myself as an annoying optimist. Like, I don't get it. I just find a path forward. I'm always optimistic. I'm well aware it's very frustrating for some people. And so everything is, how do we challenge ourselves to be better for the players? How do we challenge ourselves to be better for the game? This job is staggering. It's a real honor to be able to have this position for the team. And I'm reminded often by people like Aramis and Bethany and others, like, I earned it, like I'm in a good spot. This isn't about luck, and as women, we have to remind ourselves, like, yeah, of course I deserve to be here,
100%.
I'm good at this. And the team I work with is incredible. I'm on that front. I feel very fortunate that I have them to work with. I couldn't have made it this far and where we're going without them, certainly.
Whilst we're talking about successes, what do you consider to be the biggest achievement of your career so far?
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure I've gotten there yet, but this job and everything I intend to do with it, not just for the team, but for the community as well. I am so, it's a familiar refrain, but I'm so optimistic about where we're going. I think, you've seen through Dragonflight, we're really poised for, we decided we were going to change. What does it mean to be a living world in World of Warcraft? How do we make it feel alive? And, we're still, it's, what is it, April? we're in the early days of that now. But the commitment of the team and just seeing the reaction from the community, and also a more dynamic environment for World of Warcraft, where, through these patches, we get immediate feedback and reaction from the community, and then we're able to pivot and either double down or maybe make adjustments. And look at what the community is asking for and what they need. To date, I think for a game like WoW, it's one of my biggest achievements, only because it's one of this team's biggest achievements, and I'm just happy and thrilled to be part of it. This game, same with Classic. It's just, World of Warcraft is epic.
Yeah. And I think Dragonflight especially is feeling like that. It feels, it always had such huge potential you could see before it came, and now it's here and it's rolling, and you're like, oh my goodness, like every expectation that I had, I think, has been exploded, and then something else comes along, and the rate of response to feedback as well. I think I feel like feedback has been much different this time around. It feels like the way that perhaps the community have been presenting their feedback has been different this time round, and the sort of response to feedback seems to be keeping this positivity rolling at the moment.
And that is everything we wanted. We certainly heard the feedback through Shadowlands and the content drought, and even the content itself. And we took that seriously, and now we're seeing that result. And I appreciate the positivity and the feedback, and I even Dragonflight as a theme, I feel like, in some ways, game development as our art, is a reflection of life. With Shadowlands in the era of COVID, it was a thematically sort of a representation of, the team itself, and then Dragonflight, wanting this era of hope and aspiration and beauty and a breath of fresh air, we're so glad to be able to bring that into, we're feeling it back from the community as well, which is really important. And I appreciate your kind words, but in my mind, we have to always be better. This is good. We're doing good. We're doing great. But my point of view is we can always be better. We should never just, we should never assume we've nailed it. It's always, look to improve. Yeah.
Sort of thinking about the themes about being better, what do you think is the biggest barrier to women in the games industry, and how do you think those barriers can be overcome? And do you think that over your years in the industry, the barrier has been consistent, or that it's changing?
There's two pieces to this. There's some, as this industry has matured, I mean, not in every area, but certainly in many. I hope I'm a gaming kid for the rest of my life. But for women, I think in many ways, I was fortunate. We are smart, we're intelligent, we have good ideas, right? I think where our challenges as women often lie is with ourselves and our belief that we absolutely know our stuff. We absolutely have the intuition and the intelligence to provide winning solutions. And I think, there's a lot of imposter syndrome. I feel like I've been fortunate enough that I have suffered from that at times. And I gave it up. Because,
awesome.
Well, it's just, I came to the realization that I'm not great at everything, but I'm amazing at some stuff. And, you start identifying what your superpower is.
Yeah.
And you start leaning into that, but acknowledging and being humble about, like, hey, I'm not good at this other stuff, and making sure that the people you work with are aware of it. But it really is, if I had any advice for women, is just go in knowing you're great, go in confident, and also, not humble to the point of deference, but humble to acknowledge, man, I know I'm right about this, but I mean, I may not have the right answer on some things, but, go in there with confidence. And part of that too, when you're early in this industry, there's a lot of conversation about find a mentor. I'm always happy to, be available to women and give them my point of view and any guidance I can provide. But I think it's just gather the knowledge that will build your confidence. Even try some stuff, write some things, code a crazy thing. A friend of mine went into Unreal and did like a tiny mini game with a chicken wielding a leg of lamb or something. Just which I love lamb. My family's English, but it's just, don't be afraid to lean into it. There's women out in this industry that absolutely want to help, but it is this, just have unshakable belief that this is the right thing to do for you, and you're bringing incredible stuff to the table. It's a struggle, I'm sure. I'm not sure in your lives. It's just, one other piece of this I will say, in my experience, I feel when you have several women leaders in a group, not leaders, anyone on a team, it really brings something different.
Yeah.
It brings a tone to the room that is really unique. And I feel helps to build collaboration and insight and constructive conversation. I'm not saying men are bad, but I think we intuitively quite often approach things differently. And it's been a joy for me to be part of this, group of giants. And I work with women leaders at my level and beyond every day. Like, there's more of us out there, which also I think is necessary to build some safe spaces where you can have conversations and share that, yes, it's not just you, have a common experience. So I think we're getting there. I'm certainly, our team is doing really well with the number of women we are starting to bring onto our team and that we have now. And as well as our executive leadership, it's a breath of fresh air. Because as you can imagine, there was quite often, I was the only woman in a room when I was a game designer. So, and that's become, actually on WoW and at Blizzard, it's the best mix of diversity I've seen. I rambled a lot, but
that's okay. It's fascinating.
No, this is what we wanted to hear about.
So the most recent expansions have brought a much more diverse range of characters to the fore and given us much more inclusive stories. Is this something you're seeking to continue, and are there other types of stories that you would like to see the game telling in the future?
Yes. So that's really important to me and the team. We can always do so much better there as well. I think we've made great strides over the past couple of particularly the last Dragonflight is really an expression of that, but there's so much more to do. My goal is, because we are a global game, I think we need to be opening our minds more to really embracing global culture and really creating, I think there's a lot of perspectives, and now that our team has become more diverse, we get these wonderful cultural perspectives that are global that we're trying to incorporate. But I want us to really approach it with intention, and that appeals to where we're trying to provide options around accessibility. So that is a perspective as well. And that, we've seen expressions of that in Dragonflight as well, but the team has really opened their minds to thinking more globally about what's relatable to us as humans, and really leaning into that. And I would say the same about our storylines, that we want you to feel something about the characters. And while we may have these, epic story arcs, it has to matter to you and the characters you're connected to when you play.
Definitely. We've got a sort of couple of questions from our standard interview that we do on the show, because it would seem rude not to put them towards you. So what characters do you play in Warcraft, and what sort of content do you find most engaging at the moment?
My home character was a hunter. That's the one I started in 2004. Right now, though, I've been playing a warlock. I know.
Superb. What sort of spec?
Destruction.
Destrolock is in a good place right now. Yes, that's for sure.
I do like blowing stuff up. And being independent. I don't know. I'm still so I'm in Forbidden Reach right now and I'm tinkering, but I'm one of those players. We have a healthy amount of raiders and guildies on the team. I'm I'm a wanderer and I'm tootling around. I consume every story. I look at every achievement. I'm trying to uncover every little nook and cranny. I'm also the person when I go into any of the architecture pieces or dungeons, the first thing I do is I look up and look at the ceiling because the artists always do something incredible. So I'm in Forbidden Reach. I'm loving that storyline. I'm also excited about what I love to, again, this is an MMO thing. Now that we have this plethora of rares, I just love the emergent thing where people are just showing up from everywhere, and it's like a shared little experience. Like, yeah, we won, and then everyone takes their loot and goes home. But that to me that's what it's all about. Is these moments that are unique. You'll never get that exact same scenario with those same people necessarily over and over again. And then I'll be building up to going into getting all of my raids done pretty soon. But I'm the representative on the team that is the casual, that I consume every bit of story. I care very deeply about what I'm being asked to do in the game, give feedback on it. And I play with my husband. Being a dragon whelp on his head is fantastic.
I love that feature so much.
It's so awesome. And you are very much a woman after our own heart. That's very much what we do in game as well. We run some raid teams, we run some Mythic Plus teams, but we're all about the world and the quests and the story.
Excellent. Definitely. And I wanted to, it's strange, but it felt really important to, I have a sense of pride that I'm the representative of that on our, on the leadership team, that I'm like, hey, us casual, like people that love what we are as a role-playing game and embrace that. You have a voice.
That's super cool to know that it's represented right at the top level. Our final little question, we are all about those fun, positive interactions and sharing special moments. So we always ask people as their final question, can you share a hashtag team positive experience you have had in game recently?
So I'm not sure if you're aware, but on Classic, the community has spun up a hardcore rule set.
I've been watching it, like it's been coming up a lot on YouTube the last few days, and I've been like fascinated.
So I wanted to do my obligatory, I always start a night elf, and then and I always, because it's Classic, I'm running from Teldrassil to Ironforge, like the 90-minute run. What it feels like. And then and I haven't had this experience like since it's been a while, probably since when the original game launched. I was running up through the tunnel that will lead you to, I'm spacing out on the name, leading up to Ironforge. And there's an orc there, and I was, I think, probably level 3. And just like in the old days, someone was running near me who's also making the run, and he immediately grouped me up, or the male character rather grouped me up, and we survived, and we just started chatting while we were just doing our little run to the rest of the way of Ironforge, and we stayed friends. And like, for the last couple of weeks we've been chatting, and to me that is the bliss I find in MMOs, and particularly WoW, is just, I met somebody and now we're friends.
That is incredibly awesome. That is definitely the crux of the MMO experience.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, and for the time that we've had. That has been amazing. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It was a real pleasure, and I hope to see you again soon. And see you in game. See you in All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.